Hello everyone! I hope that you're doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Boom Shaka and I welcome you to my channel. I'm so grateful that you're listening. It's a beautiful day. It's actually kind of cloudy and windy and cold, but still it's a beautiful day. It's a fall day, it's fresh. I'm just so excited to be doing this video for you guys. I've kind of noticed something that I wanted to share with you because perhaps this is something you've noticed as well. Or maybe you haven't, and then you can share that with me as well. I've noticed that people have terrible memories. You're probably thinking, terrible memories, what? I'm talking particularly in terms of agreements and integrity. If you're an INFJ listening, or if you're a person with strong integrity, this is probably something that really bothers you about the world. I know it's something that bothers me a lot about the world. And I've noticed that, I will make agreements with people and I'll keep my end of the bargain up. So I'll be like, all right, yeah, you asked me to do this, I've done it. What about your side? And sometimes it's very silly things, right? Sometimes it's just like, well, we agreed that we would meet here at 7 p.m. and you're half an hour late or 15 minutes late, right? And you didn't even message me about it. Sometimes it's really big, important things like you promised me that you would change your diet and you would stop smoking because your health is important to me, but you haven't done that. And you're still smoking 2 packs a day or whatever it might be, right? So it doesn't really actually matter to me as an individual, as a person who cares about integrity. It doesn't matter to me that you've done something, that you broke in a small agreement or a big agreement. Because as you know, if you've listened to any of my other videos, you know that the big things matter as much as the small. In fact, the small things probably matter more than the big things, because the way you play out the small things are probably how you play out the big ones, and vice versa, right? So if you're terrible at integrity with the small things, it's very unlikely that you're going to be very good at integrity with the big things. It's really unlikely that you're very good at integrity of the big things, but you're terrible with the small things. Very, very unlikely. Yeah. So how you do the small things is how you do everything. Yeah, write that down somewhere, because that's literally how I live my life. And so I've noticed my agreements, my integrity being broken over and over again, not from my side, but from someone else's side. So, we agreed, all right, we're going to meet someone at this point, at this place, and both of us will get there together so that that person doesn't have to wait. And it might be something important like a business deal, or it might be something unimportant like just a conversation about some new and upcoming projects, but the other person doesn't show up, and because of that I look bad. And this has happened to me many times, because it doesn't really matter, right? Because if you're doing everything right, but the other person that you're with, if your partner or your business partner or your relationship partner or your family member, if they're not doing it properly, it looks bad on you as well. You can't just be like, well, I did my part right, so everything's okay. No. It looks bad on you as well. And so what's happening to me is that I've been making all these agreements, and I've kind of added like an addendum to it nowadays, or like an add-on, where I've started recording all of my agreements on audio. And it's kind of really weird because I look really anal when I'm doing this. And you're probably thinking, what are you doing with your time? Boom. So many things. But one of the things I've started doing, as I said, is I've started recording conversations where we have agreements in place. So I'll be sitting there perhaps with my mother, and I'll be like, all right, so we're making an agreement here, right? Let me switch on the audio, and we're going to make an agreement. We're going to say it on audio together to each other so that both of us know where we stand. And then the date is on there as well, because the audio has the date recording already. And so if I want to go back and point it out that you failed, or you fell on the agreement, or you broke it, then I have something in recording. I have something in writing, basically, right? And I think it's kind of like your word is your honor thing doesn't work anymore in this world that we're living in, because that's how I live. If I say something, I'm going to do it because I said it. And if I am not doing it, if I can't do it, then I'm not going to say it. I'll just be like, no, I can't do it, or I don't know, right? But I'm not going to make agreements with people if I know I can't fulfill them. I don't know how other people are like, but that's my thing about how I live my life, right? And so I've started making these recordings, right? And I've kind of noticed something fascinating is that as soon as I start making the recording, all of a sudden that person's continence or that person's personality or their whole body structure changes. All of a sudden they become more serious about the whole thing. All of a sudden I can notice this kind of determination in their eyes. All of a sudden I notice, oh, wow, they actually are taking this seriously all of a sudden. Before that, it was just a random pie in the sky conversation that didn't really matter. But suddenly it becomes this agreement that's actually in audio or in writing. And so they become a little bit more serious about it. And it might just be a temporary thing, right? Like they might just be serious about it because in that moment they're like, whoa, I don't want to do anything wrong here, so let me say something properly, right? So in that moment perhaps they're serious. That's okay. And a lot of times the agreement is still broken. But then I have something to go back on, something to fall back upon, something to show them, and yes, shame them, because that's what's needed in the world right now. There's not enough shaming going on in the world right now. People are doing whatever the hell they want. Maybe I shouldn't have to use that word. People are doing whatever they want, saying whatever they want, telling lies, and no one's holding them accountable to them. No one's being held accountable to anything. Because it's so easy to speak nowadays. You can just say all of these things, and then a day later you haven't done any of them, a month later you haven't done any of them, a year later you haven't done any of them, and well, things change, the environment's changed, and you can just make up all these excuses because you don't have to keep to your agreement. You can see that in the way the American government is being I don't want to talk about the American government. You can just see it in the way the governments of the world are actually playing out their game. Or you can see it in the way the politicians of the world kind of speak about things. Or you can see it in the way that, just in general, the way the world is kind of going. You notice that, and you probably are aware of it, that no one actually keeps up their bargain. No one actually keeps up their agreements. People talk about all these things. They say they're going to do this or that, but they never do. And again, it's like it's actually happened in the vacuum. It happened and no one actually cares about it. No one says anything about it. No one talks about it. No one points it out to the person in question that, excuse me, you said you were going to do something and you didn't. What are you going to do about that? No one actually says that to the person. There's no shaming going on. There's no kind of repercussions. There are no consequences to their actions or to their lies. And so things are happening and they're just like, well, blasé, c'est la vie, la la la, tra la la. And then that's it. Nothing happens. No consequences at all. No repercussions at all. Nothing that happens at all. So why would anyone follow their agreements? Why would anyone do what they are asked to do or want to do? Because no one's following them around with a stick and saying, yeah, you said you were going to do that. You didn't. Now, I'm not saying that we need to become violent with each other, obviously. Like, that's not my peaceful way or pacifist way of dealing with things. But I found that just creating a recording, it's literally the easiest thing in the world. Everyone has a voice memo or a voice app on their phone. Everyone has a smartphone, mostly, I think. 99% of the population, I would say. Unless you're a child, and I'm not talking to children right now. But most people will be carrying something around with them that can record something, right? And so it's just the easiest thing in the world, and all of a sudden it's just not a random pie in the sky, right? It's there, it's in writing, and if the person doesn't do it, you can show it to them. And what's happened to me is that either the person's like so crazy in mode, like, oh my god, I'm going to do this, like, it's in writing, I have to get it done. So they get it done, or they don't get it done, and then they don't get something else done either. And then I have this long list of things that I've asked them to do they haven't done. I have them in writing. And at that point, their trust is completely lost. The relationship is completely done. And at that point, I won't ask them to do anything anymore, because that's insanity on my part. Yeah? Insanity is asking a person to do things over and over again when they don't. And so you at that point can be like, all right, cool. Obviously, this person's unreliable. I'll be foolish if I keep on relying on them. So I'm going to stop. Yeah? And so I've really found this to be extremely useful, a great tool to use in my relationships. Now, again, I'm not saying I'm becoming a tyrant here or a dictator, but there's a reason we're making agreements. Not so that we can just talk about things and live in a la-la land where we pretend like we're going to do things, but we don't. We're making agreements because we're going to do them. And if we don't do them, what are the consequences? Well, in most cases, none. Nothing. The person can just do whatever they want and no consequences at all. Well, the audio kind of changes that. Yeah. And so record people. Yeah. Most people are actually totally fine with it. I always ask for permission. Can I record this? They're like, yeah, sure. People don't think about this kind of stuff. Most people don't think about anything at all, really. They're not critical thinkers. And so ask them and record it. And now you have it in writing. If they disagreed or they did not actually follow through, now you have it actually in writing. And they do it over and over again, then the onus is on you to realize, all right, I need to give this person up as a person that I can rely upon. Yeah, and that's it. That's the end of that. Easy peasy. So I hope this kind of helps you as well. I hope you can use it. If you can't, then let me know why not. I've only been using it with my family members, really, because I haven't been really dealing with that many people outside of that, and I don't ask anyone really to do anything. And most of the people in my life right now are pretty reliable. If they're in my life, they're reliable. Except my family, except my parents, really. There are some people who I really need to be like, oh, you didn't do what you was like. Okay, fine. But in general, this has been a really useful tool for me. So I hope that you can use it as well. If you are using it already, let me know what you think about it. And if you think I'm being crazy, then let me know as well. I'd love to hear all of those comments or read all those comments. Again, thank you so much for being on my channel. And I'll see you the next time around. Bye.